Hey, it's Eric Crawford. Rapid reaction from Kentucky's 98-84 loss at Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi here on Tuesday night. And my immediate reaction is yuck, not good. Got four thoughts. I'll try and get to them quick. I don't want to drone on forever here. There's no reason for overkill on a game that, was a 14-point game, but it wasn't as close as the score indicated. That's how bad it was. For a lot of this game for Kentucky tonight in this one. 4 quick points. Let's do it. Number one, embarrassment factor. When you look at the crawl on ESPN, if you're not watching this game or you're just glancing at scores and see Kentucky down 27 early in the second half, that's a shocker. This is a national ranked Kentucky team. This is not a rebuilding Kentucky team. Yes, there are injuries. They've got some personnel issues, but you don't get behind by 27 on the road, not to a team ranked 25 when you're number 14. I know those little numbers don't mean a lot, but they do mean a lot. In fact, this is Kentucky. Everything means a lot. The problem is it's the second straight game that has an embarrassment factor, because it was an embarrassment factor to lose to John Calipari when he comes in with a 1-win SEC Arkansas team without its point guard and wins in Rupp Arena his first time back. He may not beat Kentucky again, but to win that game, that was important for him. It was important to those 3 former Kentucky players. It was more important, in fact, to them than it was to Kentucky's players, to be honest with you. It seemed like it watching the game. So that's a problem. That just in itself, it has no bearing in the team's metrics. It's not going to matter about its seeding or anything else. It's a problem, though, in that it's embarrassing. It's a problem for fans, to be honest with you. They don't want to have to deal with that, and they had to deal with it tonight against Ole Miss. Number two, I don't hear anybody else talking about this. I'm going to keep talking about it. The second quarter slide for Kentucky continues, and you can. It's arbitrary because the college men's game is played in 2 halves. But I'm telling you, if you break games into quarters, first, second, third, fourth, first 10 minutes, second, third, fourth, Kentucky struggles in the second quarter of games, particularly in its losses. I reported in my column at WDRB.com. They'd been outscored in the second quarter of their 5 losses. At the time I wrote it, it was 116-66. It's gotten even worse since then. They've got 2 more losses tonight against Ole Miss. It was 30-14 in the second quarter. That's when things got out of hand. That's when it went from a 7-point deficit to a 23-point halftime deficit. They keep having trouble in that area of the game, and it's up to Mark Pope and his coaching staff to kind of analyze what's going on. Is it with their substitution patterns? Do they need to slow the game down? Does he need to take more timeouts? Does he need to see the runs coming and get the timeout sooner? They got to do something to stop the second quarter slide. Third, there were some weird stats in this game, and I don't remember who the NBA player was. I believe it was Cedric Cornbread Maxwell. So the first thing he did when he got into games was foul, so that he could avoid the trillion. It might not have been him, it might have been another player. Either way, you want to get into the box score. You don't want all those zeros lined up behind your name. Kentucky had 2 players tonight who played better than 12 minutes that had zeros. Ainsley Almanor didn't record a single stat in this game. Trent Noah didn't record a single stat in this game. That's mind-blowing. The last time Kentucky had a player play in a game like this, play at least 7 minutes and not record any stats, it was Perry Stevenson back in 2009. That's 16 years ago, and it's been about that long. I guess in college basketball, for even one guy to have 2 guys on the same roster do it gives you a good idea of the lack of activity for those guys. Man, hack somebody, get a technical, do something, take a shot. That's a good one. Get yourself in the box score. Young kids out there, always remember that. The other great stat, though, we need to do this because the game obscured, the loss obscured a triple-double performance for Amari Williams, who continues to play hard and play well. He got some early foul trouble in this game. He still winds up with a triple-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Pretty phenomenal for him. First triple-double since De'Aaron Fox, I think. I think that was 2015 for De'Aaron Fox. So stat abnormalities abound. And finally, I think we need to take a look at what's next for Kentucky. I covered Rick Pitino for a lot of years, mostly at Louisville. Rick Pitino always talked about college basketball being about the final exam. And if you're Kentucky, that really becomes the case now. It's not that you're not going to value the rest of the season. You are. You're going to try and improve as much as you can. You have to, if you're Kentucky, win the games on your schedule that you should win. And at this point, that number of games that you should win has grown pretty short unless you get Lamont Butler back. You got to beat South Carolina on Saturday at noon in Rupp Arena. You need to beat Vanderbilt when they come back to Rupp Arena, and you really have to beat LSU late in the year. Beyond that, can they beat Tennessee at home? Yeah, but will they? Who's going to predict that at this point? You got road games at Auburn. You got a road game at Alabama. You got Auburn coming in to Rupp Arena. You're at Missouri. These are tough games. The SEC is an NBA type of conference, and when you have injuries in the NBA, you go on a losing streak, and that's where they are. It is unforgiving. What else can be done for the rest of the season? They got to come up with some kind of answer on defense. And that's not saying anything that anybody doesn't know, but what are their options? You can throw multiple defenses at teams. I thought Mark Pope did a good job of that in the second half of this game tonight. You can slow the game down. You can play more zone. You can junk it up. I don't know. It's a game-by-game basis because there's some really good offenses Kentucky has to face, and they don't have the athleticism to match up with some of the teams they're playing against. Kentucky has had superior athleticism for more than a decade under John Calipari, but we know superior athleticism doesn't always lead to a ton of victories. You have to have great basketball players. Kentucky has really good basketball players, and they've got some great wins this season. They just need to get through. They need to bide time, tread water, improve until they can get Lamont Butler back, until Andrew Carr can improve himself back to 100%, and hope that they are ready for that final exam. Look, they are ranked number 2 in the nation in offensive efficiency, and that's fantastic. And that's something Kentucky fans have wanted, a modern type of basketball offense, and that's great. But they're 112 in the nation in defensive efficiency. And so if you can't play defense, none of that offense does you any good. And that's a problem now for that, and it's gotten worse in SEC play. They're giving up almost 120 points per 100 possessions in SEC play. You're giving up 1.2 points per possession. You can't win doing that. They've got to come up with an answer. Mark Pope is kind of under the gun on this one. I think it's fair to say maybe honeymoon is over. Everybody loves Mark Pope. Nobody doesn't love Mark Pope, but he's going to earn his money here in the next couple of weeks. He tries to figure out a way to win and improve with a team that is not 100% in terms of its personnel. It's not as athletic as the teams it's playing. It's a chore. It did not get done at Ole Miss. They've been a pretty good team about bouncing back and play well. They're really going to show something this weekend at home against South Carolina, try and build back confidence, build back momentum. We'll see what they can do. You can always, as we always do, read about it at our website, WDRB.com. I've got a column up there about Kentucky's loss at Ole Miss, and we'll have much more in the days to come. For now, Eric Crawford, Rapid Reaction here at WDRB+.